What if the very thing you've been praised for your entire life is the same thing that's quietly destroying your confidence? Think about it. You're always available, always understanding, always forgiving, always saying yes when every part of you wants to say no. People call you kind, they call you humble, they call you generous. But somehow you're also the one who gets interrupted, the one whose time isn't respected, the one people only remember when they need a favor. And maybe you've started asking yourself a question you never thought you'd have to ask. If I'm such a good person, why do I feel so invisible? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Being kind isn't the problem. Being too nice is. And those two things are not the same. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some of the most respected people in the world are incredibly kind, yet almost nobody dares to take advantage of them. Because they discovered one psychological truth that changes everything. From childhood, many of us were taught something that sounds beautiful. Always be nice. Don't disappoint people. Keep the peace. Put others first. On the surface, these lessons seem noble, and sometimes they are. The world certainly needs more compassion, more empathy, more kindness. But somewhere along the way, many people accidentally replace kindness with something completely different: people-pleasing. They began believing that making everyone happy was their responsibility, that saying no was selfish, that setting boundaries was rude, that conflict should be avoided at all costs. Slowly, without realizing it, their kindness stopped being a gift. It became a sacrifice. And here's what psychology repeatedly shows us. When your own needs always come last, your self-worth often begins to shrink. People don't usually lose respect because they're kind. They lose respect because they communicate without saying a word that their time, energy, and boundaries don't matter. That isn't kindness. It's self-abandonment. Over the next few minutes, we're going to separate genuine kindness from unhealthy people-pleasing, because once you understand the difference, you'll never confuse them again. 1. Why people confuse kindness with weakness. Imagine this. A new employee joins an office. He's polite, helpful, always willing to stay late, always covering other people's responsibilities. At first, everyone appreciates him, but after a few months, something changes. Instead of asking politely, people start expecting it. Extra work lands on his desk, his weekends disappear. Meetings are scheduled without considering his time. Nobody even notices, not because they're evil, because human behavior naturally adapts to the boundaries we consistently communicate. This is called expectation conditioning. The brain quickly learns patterns. When someone repeatedly says yes, people unconsciously stop treating it as generosity. They begin treating it as normal. Notice something important. The problem wasn't kindness. The problem was the absence of limits. Healthy kindness is chosen. People-pleasing feels required. There's a massive psychological difference. Kind people help because they want to. People-pleasers help because they're afraid of disappointing others. One comes from confidence, the other often comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of not being liked. And ironically, the harder someone works to be liked, the less people tend to value their efforts, because value often increases when something isn't endlessly available. Think about the people you respect most. They're probably generous, but they're also selective. Their kindness has intention, not obligation. That single distinction changes how people experience them. And there's another hidden force working beneath the surface, one that most people never notice. Number 2. The psychology of people-pleasing. Here's a question. Have you ever apologized for something that wasn't actually your fault? Maybe someone bumped into you, and somehow you said, sorry, or maybe you agreed to help someone, even though you were exhausted. Not because you wanted to, but because saying no made you feel guilty. If so, you're not alone. People-pleasing rarely begins in adulthood. It often starts much earlier. For some people, approval became associated with safety. As children, they learned that being agreeable reduced conflict, that being helpful earned praise, that staying quiet prevented criticism. Those coping strategies may have helped then, but years later, The same behaviors quietly become emotional habits. Without realizing it, many adults continue chasing acceptance in situations where it no longer protects them. And here's the trap. Every time you ignore your own needs to avoid disappointing someone else, your brain receives a small reward. The immediate discomfort disappears. You avoided conflict. You kept everyone happy. But the long-term cost grows.
Little by little, but over time, it slowly disconnects you from your own voice. Eventually, you stop asking, "What do I actually want?" Instead, you begin asking, "What will make everyone else happy?" And that's the moment you begin losing yourself. But here's the surprising part. The most emotionally intelligent people don't stop caring about others. They simply stop abandoning themselves. And that leads us to one of the biggest mistakes almost everyone makes: saying yes far too often. So let me leave you with this question. How many times have you sacrificed your own peace just to keep someone else comfortable? Because the truth is, kindness should never cost you your self-respect. If this video made you see yourself differently, then this is only the beginning. In Part 2, we'll uncover why saying yes too often quietly destroys your confidence, the psychology behind setting boundaries without feeling guilty, and how genuinely respected people protect their time, energy, and peace without becoming cold or selfish. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. So if you want Part 2, type Part 2 in the comments right now. I read every comment, and the more of you who ask for it, the sooner I'll release it. And if you enjoy content that reveals the hidden psychology behind human behavior, confidence, and self-improvement, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Remember, being nice may earn approval, but respecting yourself earns respect from others. I'll see you in Part 2.